Assalamu alaikum everyone, peace be upon you all. It's me again, Bahijah, then lad Sheibanee, your BCBA. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy. Today's topic is going to be on extinction, which is the last but not the least of the principles of ABA. First, just like punishment, whenever you are implementing an extinction procedure, make sure that you're simultaneously reinforcing and teaching an alternative behavior. Also, make sure you do not ever use extinction procedure for harmful behaviors. Extinction procedures goes hand in hand with function of behavior. One actually needs to know the function of the behavior before trying to implement extinction procedures. Now, extinction is withholding reinforcement from a previously reinforced behavior so that it will go down or it will reduce in the future. Basically, what extinction is letting you do is you stopping reinforcing a behavior that you used to reinforce so that in the future that behavior will go down. I stop reinforcing the behavior of you calling me because I used to reinforce that in the past. Now that I'm not reinforcing that behavior, the behavior will go down in the future. Like I said earlier, make sure you know the reinforcer maintaining the behavior or the function maintaining the behavior before you put it on extinction. Extinction is actually a slow process of eliminating a targeted behavior. That is why we do not want to use that procedure for anything that is harmful to oneself or to another person. Example of extinction procedure, how it will look. Let's say Susie used to pull Daddy's shirt in the past and get attention from Dad. Now, Daddy does not give Susie attention on contingent of her pulling behavior, but he will always give her attention whenever she says Daddy. Meaning that Daddy is putting her pulling behavior on extinction and reinforcing the alternative behavior, which is the appropriate way of asking for attention by her saying Daddy. So in my example, you will notice that the behavior still occurs, but it did not receive reinforcement, right? So she still pulls Daddy's shirt, kept on pulling it, but he did not give it attention for the pulling behavior. That is why we do not, I'm trying to emphasize on this, we do not ever use this for anything that is harmful because the behavior will still occur. So if you're ignoring that behavior, that means he or she is going to still continue doing that harmful behavior, which is going to be dangerous. So that is why we do not ever want to use extinction procedures for anything that is dangerous. Extinction is, by the way, not ignoring a behavior. It is simply knowing what is the reinforcer and withholding the reinforcer. Okay? So extinction is never ignoring. It only becomes ignoring when you know definitely that the function maintaining that behavior is attention. Then definitely you will do the ignoring. So the only way you will know that you are actually using or implementing extinction procedures is when you get the effects. Whenever we are utilizing the extinction procedures, we always say it gets worse before it gets better. It gets worse before it gets better. So get ready whenever you are trying to implement an extension procedure. Just so you know, it's gonna go skyrocketing before it comes down. So if you don't have patience and you know you're not going to be consistent, please do not even try extension procedures. The first of the effects that you will see with extension procedure is the extinction burst. Okay, so if you are implementing it right, this is when you will see the dramatic increase of the problem behavior. It's going to go skyrocketing. It's going to go way up, like the curve is going to go like that. Okay, so when you see that happening, don't think you're not implementing the behavior, the extension procedure well. That means you are actually putting that behavior on extension. It has to actually go up. Okay, so you will see the dramatic increase in frequency, intensity, and also in magnitude. It's gonna look bad before it gets better. So when you are consistent and you keep doing it, you will see a significant decrease. So it's gonna go this way and comes down. Okay, so all you have to do is keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and it will go down to the level that you want, or to zero. So we have what we call, after the extinction burst, we have what we call the behaviors that are resistant to extinction. Okay, this is when the behavior that you used to reinforce was occasionally reinforced. It wasn't often, or it wasn't an every moment reinforcement that you used to do. So if the behavior was calling behavior, example, someone used to call you, and every time they call you, you pick the call up. Every time they call you, you pick the call up. When you're putting that behavior on extension, it's easy. They get it. Oh, I call her, she picks up. Now I'm calling her, she's not picking up. I called her 3 times in a row, she didn't pick up. 4 times in a row, she didn't pick up. The person gets it because you used to call the person. You used to pick up the call every time. But the one that is resistant to extension is the one that you never used to pick up every time. So you have a friend who is really annoying, probably, and then once in a while you pick up their call just to, not to be rude. So you don't pick up your calls every time, but once in a while you pick up the call. So they know you, that you never pick up their call. They call you 10 times and you probably pick 1 call out of the 10 times. So now, good luck putting that behavior on extension. Good luck. The behavior will still be there and lingering around because they know that you don't always pick up the call. So putting a behavior that is not being frequently reinforced is really very difficult. The next effect that you will see when you're implementing extension right is what we call the surprise entry, which is spontaneous recovery. So let me go back to using the call as an example. So this is a behavior that you used to pick once in a while, right? So you're trying to put in an extension. So now, if the person used to call you, let's say 5 times a day, and you're trying to put the behavior on extension, the behavior would look this way. So you're going to have the 4th time the person calls a day is going to maintain for a while, like maybe 2-3 days, and then you still don't pick up. You see the increase, which is the extinction burst, right? So now the person is going to be calling you 10 times in a day, 15 times in a day, 20 times in a day, 25 times in a day. And then it gets to a point, it will go up, it will keep going up, right? And then you see a decline in it. Because you're doing good, not picking the call up, it will come down again, all the way, almost to 0, right? It will get to a point where it's almost 0. So you see a little curve going down, right? And then it will be down there for a while. Maybe they call you 1 time, 2 times. So it's just maybe now almost 0. And then you see a little spike, right? So that's the surprise entry. So from the 0, you see it going back to 2, call in a day, right? So the person remembers that, oh, I used to call this person and they pick up my call once in a while. Let me try again and see if they will pick up. So that is where we have the spontaneous recovery. It's just a pop, a surprise popping in or reappearance of the behavior. But this is what happens. Is everybody on the team, you're working with a client, an individual, whoever you're working with, and you're putting a behavior on extinction. And then you have that spontaneous recovery happen. If everybody who is involved actually is consistent and ignores it, or ignores the calls, then guess what? That behavior will go back down again. That is the only way the behavior will go back down again. If you mistakenly reinforce it again, good luck trying to bring it down. That means it has come to stay. All right. So when you have that spontaneous recovery happen, make sure that everybody is on board. Everybody is consistent. Nobody is giving that reinforcement. Everybody is withholding the reinforcements. Okay. And then the behavior will keep going down. So just like I said, whenever you're doing extinction procedures, make sure there's an alternative behavior that you want to see happening more, and then you're reinforcing that behavior. There is another effect that happens after. If the new behavior that you are reinforcing, if you stop reinforcing that behavior, the old one that you put on extinction is going to pop up again. So that is going to be the resurgence. Okay. So that means whatever behavior that you put on extinction, the new one that you're supposed to be reinforcing, if you stop reinforcing the new behavior, the old one will reappear again. Meaning that they want something to happen. You're not reinforcing the one you taught me to do, so let me go back to the previous ones. I get reinforcements for that, so why not go back to that one? So make sure extinction procedures, when you start, you are going to continue. It needs patience, it needs consistency, and it needs a lot of reinforcement of the alternative behavior that you are teaching the individual. Now, I said you need to know the function of the behavior before you put it on extinction. So if the function is attention, we ignore. If the function is escape, you keep putting on or you keep giving the demand. You don't take the task away, you keep giving. If the function of the behavior is sensory, we just mask it. We mask the behavior from happening. From getting the reinforcement. The behavior will happen, but we just mask it so they don't get the reinforces. And if the function is denied access, you withhold the tangible. You don't give the individual or the clients the tangible or the desired activity or desired item. So that is what it is. So I said, if the function is attention, you ignore. Example is when a kid is seeking for attention, but they're doing it the wrong way. Just like the previous example, the pulling shirt. So if Susie keeps pulling the shirts, Daddy will ignore her, and just when she says Daddy, he will just give her attention for calling him or saying Daddy. So you ignore the pulling shirts behavior, and then you give attention or you reinforce the daddy behavior. All right. When it's escape, as I said, if the function is escape, I said you keep giving in the demand. So an example of that would be if a kid is throwing books or their worksheets all over the place, just so you would just take it away from them, No, whenever they pull it away, bring it back to them. They push the books or they rip, bring a new paper. If they're supposed to be writing their name or writing a word, something, and they rip the paper, bring them a new paper. Anytime they rip it up, bring a new one. Keep putting on the demand until they actually do the behavior that you want them to do. Then you praise it. Or if they were trying to get out of work, make sure that they do the work and then appropriately ask for a break. Then you reinforce the break instead of them ripping the paper and not as appropriately asking you. So they're trying to get away from work, right? But you want them to be able to say, can I please have 2 minutes break? I'll come back and do the work. If they do that, then you definitely reinforce that behavior. But anytime they rip the paper off, bring more new papers for them to write. So until they actually do the behavior that you want to see, you do not take away that work from them. All right. So the next one is when I say the behavior is maintained by sensory. So when the function is sensory, an example of what that would look like is if a kid is always picking on their skin until it bleeds because probably it's dry and they keep picking it until it bleeds. So you're trying to put that behavior on extinction. You would find a nice, beautiful cotton gloves and put them on the kid so they can actually keep, picking from that, but this time around, it's not going to bleed. So you're masking that behavior, okay? You're putting that sensory feeling on extinction. So if the function maintaining the behavior is denied access, example, a kid is throwing tantrum because a toy has been taken away from them. What you would do is not give the toy immediately. Ignore or withhold the toy until they say, can I please have the toy back? Or please, can I have my toy back? Or I want the toy. So let them use their language or communicate with you before. So that would be the appropriate way of asking back the toy instead of just screaming and crying and, doing all this maladaptive behavior that is uncalled for. When they can actually say, can I please have my toy back? Or can I please exchange the toy with something else that I want? So to recap, we have 3 principles of ABA. Reinforcement, punishment, and extinction. We always use reinforcement in any behavior change intervention. That is the only way you want to see an appropriate behavior occurring more and more. So if the behavior you want to see happening is communication, you will rather reinforce that communication behavior. Use something that would bring that language out, that will reinforce this person or the individual to actually talk to you or communicate to anybody around them. So the first go-to is reinforcement. We only use other method when we have actually exhausted all our reinforcing procedures. All reinforcing options have been exhausted before trying anything else that is not reinforcement. So I hope you all have learned something about ABA and the 3 principles of ABA, which is reinforcement, punishment, and extinction. You will now know why we use them and when we use them. These are all the reason why we do what we do. All the interventions that we implement goes around these 3 principles. All right. And on my next video, I'm going to talk about functions of behavior. Because guess what? Anything and everything that you do is maintained by something. Okay. what we call the function, all right? Something that is reinforcing, that is maintaining that behavior. So we say everything has a reason. Nothing happens just like that. There's something that makes it happen every time, all right? So until my next video, please do not forget to subscribe, share, and like my video. And also click on that notification bell. So anytime I upload a new video, you will sure to be notified, okay? Leave a comment, a question, anything. When I see it, I will definitely reply to it, okay? Thank you for being my wonderful followers and viewers, as always. Until my next video, stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you.